Hi, my name is Danny Andrew, and I want to talk to you a little bit more about this book that I wrote called Bipolar Disorder Doesn't Have to Be Depressing. It's a great book. See if I can get it up here where you can really see it. The best thing about this book, there's the back. Does it look like me? Anyway. The best thing about this book is that it talks about the journey. It talks about the journey of counseling, and I went to a treatment center in 1991, and the best thing about that treatment center is it got me away for a little bit so I could really focus on what was going on in my life, and I could really pay attention to getting better. And it really broke my heart to leave my kids. I had two young children at the time in 1991. I had my two oldest children. They were very young. I left them with my mother. Not that my mother wasn't completely capable of raising children. Good Lord, she raised me. But at the same time, going off and leaving my children, I was a single parent. This was before my diagnosis. It was 4 years before I was actually diagnosed. But saying those words, I need help, and getting on that airplane and going to the treatment center was so hard for me. Walking away from my children, I felt like I was abandoning them. Let me tell you something about that. Let me tell you something about your children and why it is so important to get the help that you need. If I had not gotten the help that I needed at the time, chances are I probably wouldn't be alive now. And I say that with certainty. I don't know that I could have made it through the years that followed without some really good, solid counseling under my belt and really learning to love myself for who I am. Because I hated myself. I really did. I hated who I was. I hated who I'd become. And I didn't think I deserved to be here. I looked at the floor, and I had zero self-esteem. And that first, I'd been to counseling before, but that 28 days in the treatment center where I took the time and focused on me, just on myself. I spent the first 2 weeks feeling guilty, because that's what we do. We feel guilty for taking time and focusing on us. We feel guilty. And I did. I felt guilty for being away from my children, and I felt guilty for being away from my family. I felt guilty for taking time away from my job. I felt guilty for leaving that responsibility to my mother. It was my responsibility to raise my children. But if I had not taken that time when I did, somebody else would have been raising my kids anyway. I wouldn't be here to tell you about it. This book would never have gotten written. I never would have become a speaker. I'm a distinguished Toastmaster. I never would have seen my grandchildren. There's a child that never would have even been born if I had not taken the time for me. And in all honesty, I deserve that. I have that right. I have the right to be here. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to say, I have the right to be here. I am a quality person, and I have the right to be here. And it's okay. It's important that we understand that as humans, that we understand that we have the right to be here. And that taking that 28 days, as hard as it was on my mom, as hard as it was on my kids and as hard as it was on me, was important for my survival and was important for me to be a good parent. Counseling, it's important.